Okay, in a previous video, I said I was working on another constructed deck that featured these two cards, the Dragon Slayer Cadmus and the card Lightning. So I've dubbed this deck Cadmus Lightning because I don't know a better name to come up with. But first, before I get into my Cadmus Lightning deck, I wanted to show off my new bag that I got from my new friend from the internet, Arthur. So Arthur, thank you for sending me this with the coins. The coins are wonderful. I do have a Wyvern bag, for those of you who don't know. It's a little worn. There's no more strings, but it's got the coins, so I'm good. But now I've got two, which is what I've always wanted. Actually, I want four so that we can play four-player Wyvern. So if anyone has a new bag of coins, I will gladly do a trade with you where I will give you cards. I will give you cash too, possibly. But I know these things go for like $100, and I'm not willing to pay $100 for a bag of coins. Just, 50. I'll go 50 if anyone wants to do it. If you have it doesn't have to be brand new, but it has to be like this, not like this. If it's like this and it's got the strings so you can pull it closed, I'll gladly go 50. I'll go more if you want to do trade. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, back to my Cadmus Lightning deck, as I'm affectionately referring to it as. This is not what I would recommend as a good constructed deck. Yet I'm doing it because all of a sudden I decided, maybe I could make it work. And I want to see if I can make it work. So I'm going to give you the deck tech here and you let me know. Before, again, one more delay. Before I get into that, I have lots of Wyvern deck tech videos if you'd like to see other constructed decks that I've built. I know Wyvern is a dead game and almost nobody plays it anymore. That's fine. I don't mind. Some people still do. I also have starter decks that I've turned into like better decks. I've taken a starter deck or 3 starter decks and turned them into a decent modified semi-constructed starter deck. Much more fun to play. I have a bunch of those that I've built. Now I want to add sideboards to all these decks. I've never used sideboards with Wyvern, but I want to do it. So I'll start doing it at some point. I've also written 2 fantasy novels based on the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons, and I've narrated them on my channel so you can listen to my narration. The book is called Forestera's Fate. There's book 1 and book 2. Both are in their own playlist. And it's also available on Amazon. There are links in the description of my narration, so you can go look at it on Amazon, do a sample read. And if you'd like to support me in that way, great. If not, feel free to listen to my narration at your leisure. The other book I recommend for anyone who's into fantasy is to go check out Roger Zelazny's The Chronicles of Amber. It is 2 5-book series. The first one is, I considered, the greatest fantasy fiction book series of all time, better than Lord of the Rings. That's my personal opinion. Roger narrated those 5 books, and they are on YouTube. He died before he could do the second series. He died fairly young, like in his 60s, of, I think, cancer, back in the 90s. Very sad. So he didn't know one day it would be on YouTube. It's wonderful to read. If you buy the Great Book of Amber, all 10 books in one book, you can read it while listening to Roger narrate the story. That's what I did, and it's just wonderful. I was so impressed by it that I tried narrating it myself. I got through 1 or 2 chapters before I said, "Nah, that's enough. It's a little too much for me to do." But I do have some on my channel as well. All right, all of that out of the way. Let's get into this. So the idea here is you turn their dragon. You can put this on your dragon if you want to make your dragon a flyer for some reason. It's an okay card. It's not a great card, but it's okay. And then you slay their dragon because now he's a flyer. I did this at a Gen Con tournament in the starter deck tournament, and I was doing well. But all of a sudden I had these 2 cards in my hand and pulled this off, which is fun to do in the basic game. The problem with constructed is the odds are you're not going to make this happen more than once. I mean, you might get 2 dragons out of the deal because you have 4 copies of each card. If you're really lucky, you might slay 3 dragons like this, and if you're super, super lucky, you might slay 4. Odds are it will be 0 to 2 because they'll have ways of dealing with your cards, for one thing. And the other thing is the odds are you're not going to get both of these in your hand more than once or twice in a game. You could get lucky, but there's 6 battle positions, so it's not a something that you want to necessarily do. But I just thought about it. And I thought, but maybe I could build around this and make a deck that does this. So if this is the theme that I'm trying to do, turn them into flyers and slay them, what should the rest of the deck be? Okay, the deck breakdown is this. In the Dragon Lair, which is exactly 20 cards over here, there are 3 dragons and 17 terrains. Now I have a terrain deck on my channel. I did a deck tech video for my terrain deck. I also have a Dragon Slayer deck, which has a lot of terrains in it too. I've made a deck tech video for that, so you can go look at those two to get a little comparison of the differences. This is kind of a blend of both of those decks. There was something else I wanted to add to that. Well, if I remember it, we'll get into it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the treasure hoard first, not the Dragon Lair. We'll get into what's in the Dragon Lair later. So I'm going to have obviously 4 copies of Lightning, and we're going to do 4 copies of Cadmus. You already see the one card that's coming, but that's okay. So we're going to start there. But I said, let's put, oh yeah, that's right. I'm running 16 Dragon Slayers in this deck. So it is a Dragon Slayer deck, and it's also a terrain deck. It's kind of a blend of both. And I originally had 4 St. George in here to just also be able to go after their treasures, because I know I'm not going to get all their dragons with Cadmus, so let's go after their treasures too. It'll be fun to do it. Then I decided I'm only going to go with 2 copies of St. George for now, and I'll maybe put, if I build a sideboard, maybe I'll put 2 more in the sideboard if there's a reason to go after their treasures for some reason. But I wanted to play 2 because I rarely, if ever, have put St. George in a constructed deck. It's not a bad card. It's a perfectly good card in the basic game. But because I'm running 17 terrains and 3 dragons, I need to be able to deal with scouts. So that is the other thing that I have to address in this deck, or scouts will just rip me apart. If I don't slay them, I have very little to fight them with, so I need ways to get rid of them. So 4 Beowulfs to purely attack scouts. I could go after any 0-strength dragon, but 4 Beowulfs. And then, is there 4 there? Yes. And then 2 Cadmus. So that's 6 Dragon Slayers that are specifically designed to slay their scouts. That should be enough, but you never know, but that should be. But then I need to also go after their terrains, and I'm only running 1 scout. Of the 3 dragons in my deck, only 1 is a scout. So I need other help. Seth is the perfect card to do this with. For one thing, it turns the dragon up. I don't care that the dragon is free. If Seth hits a dragon, the dragon is turned up. They don't have to pay for it. So that's a benefit for them. I don't care. I want it up. That's all I want. That's the reason you play Seth, is to take out a terrain. It says discarded. It should have said destroyed. It's discarded. It's not swapped out. So the terrain is gone. And I don't know why it didn't say destroyed. It should have. So 4 of those. And then we get into how do I get them to attack. I have 12 cards that are designed to make them attack me. Turn the tables is probably the most effective. Yeah, maybe not. It's hard to say. You decide which card of yours gets attacked this turn. Opponent must attack if possible. So, yeah, they could still attack with a scout. And if they have a face-down scout and I'm telling them to attack, well, they're going to take out that terrain. So that could happen. Okay. 4 Sirens. Siren says, play during opponent's turn. Opponent must attack with a face-down card, if possible. If he can't attack with a face-down card, he must replace a card in his battle phase. So there are different reasons I might play this over Turn the Tables. It just depends on the setup. So 4 Sirens, and then the other one is Hall of Chivalry. Now this one's expensive, and it's a little confusing in the text. It says, put Hall of Chivalry on a face-up dragon. This dragon must attack this turn, period. If the dragon can't legally attack, then it must be replaced during opponent's turn. So very similar to Sirens. Costs 1 more gold, though, and I'd rather play Sirens than Hall of Chivalry. Beautiful card, though. It seems like this is now attached. It seems like this would be a permanent thing. Let's assume that I didn't destroy their dragon for whatever reason. It seems like this card still stays on it, and on their next turn, they'll still have to do it because it's attached to their dragon. That's how I interpret that. I'm really not sure. But I'm glad I found a deck that I can put Hall of Chivalry in, even though it is a little expensive, and I feel like maybe it should have only cost 1. Not sure why it cost 2. But I decided that I don't want my opponent to be drawing a lot of cards, so I am playing a couple Meteor Showers, but I'm going with Whirlpool because it just helps me to draw cards, and I don't necessarily want to discard cards. My opponent's probably going to play Meteor Shower, though, too. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't been playing much lately. We haven't been able to get together, but I'm hoping to play this the next time we get together, which might be tomorrow. We'll see. I'm still waiting for sleeves for these cards. I've got sleeves in my Dragon Lair, but I just ordered them on Amazon, so they're not going to be here. So I may just use some other sleeves if we play this tomorrow. So Whirlpool, great card. Draw 2 cards for 1 gold. And then I'm going to go with 1 or 2 copies of Meteor Shower. It's either going to be a 50 or a 51 card deck. So there's 2 in here. Might just go with 1 because I don't really want this, but sometimes you need it. Sometimes you've got to play Meteor Shower. If you've got 1 or 2 cards in hand, or it's pretty important. So 1 copy of Volcanic Eruption because that's all you're allowed in the official updated rules. And I totally agree with that. So 1 copy. And then the last thing to take out my opponent's scouts is Blinding Light. The very effective hidden action. Place face down under one of your terrain cards. If a scout destroys the terrain card, the scout loses the ability to scout and any other special ability on the card. Now, should this have attached to the scout maybe, and they could find a way to get the card off the scout so that he can scout again? I don't know. It doesn't do that. The card is gone, so you have to mark that is not a scout anymore. But this is another way of dealing with scouts because that is the weakness of this deck. There are other possible cards. Town is a possible card I could add. Not really sure what other things might be good. Zeus possibly in my sideboard to stop them from attacking. But with Blinding Light, I want them to attack. I'll give up the terrain to end their ability to scout. And I'm running 4 because most decks will have more than 1 scout. This doesn't, though. This just has 1. So we're running 4 Hurricanes for obvious reasons. We're turning their dragon into a flying dragon, and then the Hurricane kills them. Now, that's the other thing I forgot to say. In the official rules, if the dragon that hits the terrain is not a scout, and it doesn't apply to the dragon, so if a non-flying dragon hits this terrain, the terrain is destroyed. We all agree that we don't like that rule. We don't think it's a good rule. We changed it to the terrain is swapped out. So now, this is the other reason I decided to make this deck. I don't have to worry about non-flying dragons destroying the terrain. It just gets swapped out, and we continue to play like nothing happened, which I think makes more sense. So 4 Hurricane, and for those of you who play Wyvern, you already know 4 Island are going to be in. Any flying dragon now belongs to you. Dragon stays on island in your battlefield. If island is removed, dragon goes back to original owner's battlefield. So what you do is you just swap the dragon out. Unless you feel confident that they can't get rid of it and you want to start attacking with their dragon, by all means. But I'd rather just probably swap it out. Maybe not necessarily. There might be times when I won't. I just want to feel like being risky, Otherwise, just swap it out, and now that dragon is gone, and you didn't lose anything. They lost their battle position, so that's really good. So 4 of those. But then I'm going to go with killer terrains, and the 2 killer terrains to use are Pit and Frozen Lake. So 4 copies of each. So Pit kills any dragon of 3 or less strength, and Frozen Lake kills any dragon of 4 or more strength. So the only issue is making sure the right size dragon hits the right terrain. But at least now it's swapped out if it doesn't happen. But now I have a way of taking out literally any dragon, except, well, yeah, no, any dragon. I can literally take out anything between these two terrains. Flying doesn't matter at that point. So that's why they're here. All right, the 3 other cards are Delphine, and I just realized I forgot to grab the other cards because I have them off to the side because I don't have enough copies yet. But I'm getting some. I've gotten some more cards in trades. So Delphine is my 1 scout. The reason Delphine and not something like Mogre or Grendel is because Delphine flies, and I want it in the back. I want to protect it as much as I can. Mogre is very powerful, as is Grendel for gold. And Mogre might be the better choice, but I'm going for the card draw. And Mogre is too vulnerable sitting in the front row. With the back row, I feel better. They need a flyer to get to it. Hence, that's the other reason. I do have one other terrain. Like I said, there are 17 terrains. We've gone through 16. So the next card is in every deck I build, Basilisk. This is the older version. Let me get the newer version out. Okay, the updated wording on Basilisk is Strength 3, so he costs 3, kills himself and 1 other dragon in battle. So whether they attack him or he attacks them, doesn't matter. Offense, defense. No battle action cards are played in a battle that Basilisk is a part of, and there is no winner or loser. Golden Apple, Fountain of Youth, doesn't work. You can't play Knight. So this is a brilliantly designed card because it takes out anything. It kills itself, thus it's not overpowered. At first I thought it was overpowered, but it really isn't. And I am going to play Mixquaddle, even though I normally play Mixquaddle for gold. He is also in here for gold. We haven't gotten to the rest of my Treasure Hoard deck. I just realized that, but they're off to the side here. Mixquaddle says 0 strength flyer, 6 gold. So that's horrible. While attacking, Mixquaddle uses an assigned strength equal to the number of gold pieces in your gold pile at the moment he attacks. So if you have 20 gold, you turn this up, you pay 6 gold, now you have 14. He is a 14 strength dragon. If you have 8 gold and you pay the 6, now you have 2 gold, he's a 2 strength dragon. On defense, he's a 0. Very easy to kill, but again, he flies, so he can attack from the back. This is yet one more way that I can kill just about any dragon. It's a very, very powerful attacking dragon, and it can get me 6 gold, which is coming up. And then I'm running the 1 field of gold. I normally run 3. These are in most of my decks where I want extra gold. I don't need the gold as much in this deck, which is why I'm only running this instead of 3 copies. I'm only running 1 copy of Field of Gold because it's not as important, but I do want that extra buff, at least the potential to have that extra buff. So the other cards are 4 magnetic fields, which I put in every deck, every single deck, automatic, which is what, and I've gotten quite a few more now. These are off to the side. I don't put them in decks because I don't have enough cards to put them in decks, but now I've got some more, and I'm slowly getting the number that I want, which is enough for every deck, which is going to take a while. And then we have 2 gold digs. So gold dig gets you gold equal to the number of gold symbols in the card on the card in your discard pile, in your Dragon Lair discard pile. So Mixquaddle, that's 6. Field of Gold, that's 4. 2 copies is all I need because there's only 2 cards. I could run 4, but I don't want to. And lastly is Sorcerer. I should just sell these because, man, these things go for like 50 to 100 bucks. But I want Sorcerers. I have several because I opened up a lot of Chameleon cards back in the day when they were practically giving these cards away. So I ended up with some. I had no clue that one day they'd be worth so much money. I still might sell them, but because I have like about 6 or 7 of them. I'm not even sure the total number that I have. They're in a couple decks, but these 2 are on the side because I like to put 2 in most of my decks. So the Sorcerer duplicates any action or reaction card just played by your opponent. The sorcerer is also playable as a battle reaction to duplicate any battle action just played by your opponent. So in other words, it duplicates any action, reaction, or battle action that your opponent just played. You can just copy that spell. Very effective card for the game. It literally magnetic fields your opponent's magnetic field. They say, I'll stop you. I'll say, no. It's like, nope, I'll magnetic field that right back with sorcerer. So it's almost like having more magnetic fields in your deck. It's not as good as magnetic field. It won't. It's useless. It can't stop what your opponent does. It can only copy what your opponent does. So not as good, but it counters magnetic field. Just that alone makes it a really, really good card. So that is my Cadmus Lightning deck. I like the name. I like the concept, even though this is not a constructed strategy. I like the challenge to see if I can make it work and make it an effective deck. Don't know if it will be, but it will be fun to try to play it. If I can, I'll get it on video. We'll see how that goes. Hope you check out the other videos on my channel. I also have L5R deck tech videos. If there's any L5R fans out there, haven't played in a long time. I'm hoping to get back into that game at some point. We will see what happens. Hope you enjoyed this deck tech video. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.